Hello. Right. I guess we will get started now. So yeah, today we'll be covering the basics of Firebase and a bit of Firestore and Firebase hosting. So you need a few things first. I assume all of you watching have a Google account already. Then you'll be needing Node.js. So you can just go to nodejs.org and download the LTS version, or this one works too, but I'm using this, so it's better for version parity. And you need access to a terminal, so if you're on Mac, you can Mac or Linux, you have terminal. On Windows, I'll be using PowerShell, but you can also use uh, command prompt. Yeah. We'll get started. The first thing you need to do is to create a Firebase project. So you can do is go to firebase.google.com, and there's a go to console button up here. If you haven't signed in, then just sign in first. Then just click on add project, then enter a project name. I'm gonna just do that PC test Firebase. Yep. Click on continue, and create project. So after a while, you should have your own Firebase project ready to go. All right. So we have our Firebase project right here. So two things we'll be covering today are Cloud Firestore, which is the second one, and hosting, which is third to last. So what you can do right now, so since you're going to start off with Firestore, you can go to Firestore and um, click on Create Database. You can start in production mode. Click on Next, and you can leave this in US Central. It really doesn't matter at this point, or you can change it to Asia Southeast 2, which is the Singapore server. But as I said, it really doesn't matter. Just click Enable. And once this is done, you should have a Firestore database ready to go. Okay, so a few things about the database I wanna say right now, that some basic stuff. So basically, there's a server running on Google servers, which is it is somewhat close to MongoDB, but it's not exactly MongoDB. So you have one database in that server. Now you can have like multiple collections inside the database. So a collection is like a table from SQL. So you can have like multiple collections which are analogous to the multiple tables. And then you will have documents the on over here. Document is like a row, and then the document will have key value pairs, which will be your actual data. So in terms of, if you're familiar with SQL, then a collection is a table, a document is a row, and the row contains data. So collection, document, and fields, I guess. Yeah. So once you have that ready, we can start working on our terminal stuff. So I'm going to go to desktop, and create a folder. Just want to call it same thing as my project name, so PVC Firebase, and CD put it. So first thing you want to do is initialize node npm on this folder, so you can do that by anything in it, and you can just press enter until you're done. Yep, and that should be enough. All right. Another thing you will need is um you will need Firebase admin, which is a package you can use to interface with the database. So you can install that by running npm install Firebase admin. You let it go. Should be over in a minute. Okay, so we have Firebase admin installed, and now you can go ahead and create an empty .js file and open it in your code editor. So yeah, now we have our okay, so we have our empty JS file here. But here's the thing: if we go to our database rules over here, we can see that okay, this might not make that much sense at this moment, but there is we need to be authenticated to allow read and write operations on the database. So how do you? There's two ways you can do get around this problem. One thing is that you can make it like publicly accessible, so you can just remove the if true stuff. Then over here it will give you a warning that it's defined as public, so anyone can make changes to the database basically. But we really don't want to do that, so it's a lot better if we just keep that in, so that we're the only ones making the changes. So to authenticate yourself, we can use something called service account. So service accounts are basically something that the cloud provider, which is Firebase in this case, will give to you, and it just proves that you you are the right person, that you can access this Firebase project. So to do that, what you can do is go up to this settings icon right here, go to project settings, service accounts, let that load in, and click on the Firebase admin SDK. You can just generate a new private key. So it'll ask you to download this, and you can just move that into your folder, and I'm going to rename this to firebase.json. So over here, they already give you the starter code that you need to connect to the database and any other stuff. So you can just copy this in over here. And yeah, and for you have to change your location to your JSON file. So since it's in the same project, you can just do /firebase.json. So yeah. So right now, where we at is we have our we have created our database. We've created our database over here, and we have our starter code that will allow us to connect to a project. So the next thing we need to do is connect to the database itself. So we can create a new variable. Let's call it db. and we can run admin.firestore. So this command is just telling us that connect to the database. Okay, so now that we have connected to the database, the first thing that you might want to do is add in some data. So let's create some data first. So it could be anything really. So say you're doing this for a blog. So one thing you might wanna have is the author. Then you might wanna have date date created, and of course you wanna have the content. And maybe you wanna have a is published. So something, if you wanna keep something private, then you set it to false. Otherwise, you set it if you want it to be public, you set it to true. So let's just put in any random data here. I actually have no idea what to put in here. With this. DD and the author will be also will be method. Yeah. So yeah, so you have your data here. So what you want to do is add it to your database. So what you want to do is create a function, and let's call it add document, because that is what it's called. And create a parameter called db, and we add in the can add in this data over here using db.collection, then your collection name, but we haven't created a collection yet, so let's do that. I think let's call it div. Okay, I think we can just put this and add in our data over here. So what this is saying is go to this DB, then create this collection if it doesn't exist, and if it exists, then use this collection, then add in a new document called data. So yeah, this is the basic structure. Oh, there's a few things here that will not work. So since this is a web, since you're interfacing with the web, things will not happen automatically. So you will have to use promises and make the function asynchronous so that it remains like in sync with the server in a way. Yeah, so for that we need to make this function of an async type, and we need an await declaration here. So let's just make it like this. So our response is a promise from this. Then we can just control log this penalty. Yeah, and this should let us add our data. So um, what you can do next is just run this function. So add document, and we should be good to go. So let's run this file. So to run the file, you can just type in node index.js, uh, index.js. What's this? Cannot read the property correction. Okay, so we do have to create a collection first. Okay, let's just delete this for now. Yeah, now it should be good to go. Ah, got it. Hmm. Let me just fix this. Okay, okay. I'm very pumped. Holy shit. Yeah. So basically, the problem I had was I didn't pass in the database. So yeah. You just pretend this never happened. Yeah. So once you run this file, so once you run npm admin node index.js, you should see a string, which is our res.id, and yeah, this should be your document ID. So if you go to the GUI over here, you should see that same ID over here. And if you click it, you will see the data that we added here before with the correct types. Right. So say, why does it throw an error if I use the touch command? Oh, because PowerShell does not support touch. This is Windows Terminal, so you can just create a file using the GUI. You can try doing echo try.pf, something like this. That will also create an empty file. Yep. and it's a Linux, not actually. Right. Anyways, so over here, Firebase will create an ID for you, but sometimes maybe you wanna set your own ID. So for that, you can modify this line over here. You can make it collection data, and you can just specify dot and put your ID in here. So maybe I want my ID to be let's say blog_1. So if we run this now, we should have, oh come on, this is so weird. Oh shit, what's the error now? Okay, so yeah, once you do that, you should see blog1 author content date and is public. So you're supposed to use set instead of add over there. Okay, a bit rust. Okay, so this is basically your primary key in a way. So yeah, so if you use this method, it's a lot easier to do stuff like updating or deleting certain documents. Yeah, so we have two methods of doing it. So this is the manual ID, and our automatic ID is fonts as equals with db collection, then the collection name dot and this control.log rest.id. Yep. So that's how you add documents to your database. So now next order of business should be, of course, uh, getting your data from the database. So to do that, we create another function. Let's call it get objects, get document. Okay, so there's a few things we can do here. We can we can get all the documents from certain collections, so that will return us this TNST one and the blog one that we created. Or we can use certain parameters to narrow down the number of results that we get. So we can do something like in the collection data, return me uh, the document with ID log1, something like that. Or return me all the documents with where the author is 3DC, stuff like that. So yeah, let's actually make two of these functions. Let's get rid of this form. So let's get documents from collection and get document. Yep, let's keep these two for now. And yeah, so let's go over getting all the documents from a collection first, since that is a lot easier. So what you want to do is const res same as above, and just do await db dot collection dot get. Yeah, so over here, all it's saying is in my database from the collection data, get everything that you have. That's essentially what this line is doing. So what we can do now is print out the stuff that we just bought. So for that, you can use a JavaScript. function called for each. So res dot for each document. Yeah. So what this does is for each entry in whatever result we get, it will print out the document ID and all the data in the document. So if we run this function, which is get, we should get our two documents with the same data but different IDs. So that's fine. Hopefully it doesn't break this time. Oh damn it! Where's this? Vulnerabilities? Where's this on vulnerability layer? Okay, let's just use snapshot. Okay, so okay, there we go. So yeah, this is our ID TNST whatever, and our block one. All of them have the same data. So this is from all our um, the data from all the documents from our collection. So just for the purpose of our next part, I'm gonna edit this from 3DC to like 2DC. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing that we're gonna do is um getting particular documents that match our parameters. So to make things easier, let's first declare our collection as td.collection people. And let's declare another snapshot. Hopefully this doesn't break. Equals await collection dot where dot get. Now this where function you see here is basically like an if statement of sorts. So you can put in your parameters here and whatever is matching, it will return that along with the get function, of course. So say you wanna have three three parameters here. The first one is gonna be your field name. So let's say it's gonna be author over here. The next thing is gonna be our operation. So let's keep it equals for now. And the last one is our value that we want to match to. So let's make it 3DC. Yeah. And you can just paste this here. But what if we get no results back? Then there will be an error on the for each function. So we can handle this error by doing this snapshot dot empty. You can just control the log documents match. But yeah, so this when we run this function, we should get our block one document. Yeah. So let's test it out. Hopefully nothing breaks again. And so yeah, we get our block one document and all our data along with it. Now what I want to try is changing this back 3DC. And now if we run this, you should get both our documents again. There we go. We got both our documents. And say we change this to 2BC now, then we should see if our error handling works properly. Hopefully it does. Yep, no documents matched. So yeah, you can also do other stuff like say you want the one where is public is true. So say I change this to false, then you can do is public equal true. Don't know if this will work, but hopefully it does. Okay, there is good. Maybe it's the yeah, it was the code. So yeah, so you can use the dot where you can actually add in more dot where, so you can do this dot public, then you can also add another dot where author uh, equal 3dc. Okay, then it will return you this, but if you change this to 2dc, then again you will get a no documents match error because there will be no documents where is public is true and the author is 2dc. Yeah, so multiple where functions are basically like an AND function in your from SQL or any other programming language. Yep. So yeah, another thing I want to touch on is that you're not limited to equal over here. You can do all your basic logical operators, which is greater than, less than, greater than, equal, less than, equals, and also some array stuff like array contains and in and or stuff like that. But I think there's a Firebase limitation, so you can only do one range operation at a time. So say if I do we don't really have any numeric fields here, but say we had one, say we had page views. So if we do page views greater than 200, then our next we cannot have another greater than equal to or less than equal to stuff. We can only have equal equals or in. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So let's add in some more data first for our next. So I'll remove this for now and add in some more data. Let's create another fictional author called 2DC. No, 2DC workshop. 2DC is private, right? So let's make it false. And add this to our database. And there we go, 2DC. And let's create another one on PC workshop. There we go. So now we have four for collection documents. Okay, so right now the amount of data you have is fairly manageable, but at larger scales you might have 200 or 300 collection, 200 or 300 documents matching your web functions. So you might want to limit the amount of stuff you get. So to do this, what you can do is you can limit the amount of um, documents that are returned. So you can do a dot limit and then put in any number. So say I want to limit it to 3, then if I return this, then this never happened. Now if we run this function, we should get our three, yep, that is correct. Where is public is false, we get 3, but the thing is we have only 3 documents matching that. So let's change this limit, and it should send the first one from this. Yeah, so the limit is 1. But say you wanna mm, you want to add in like a sorting function. You can also do that using I believe it's called order by. So dot order by. Then it takes in 2 parameters. So the first one is we use this now. The first one is the field you want to order by. So say the field you want to order by is date. So date, and then the mode. So there's 2 modes: ascending and descending. The I think the default is descending. If I know wrong. No, ascending is the default one. So say you want a descending date. Now if you run this, oops, oops, ooh, let's remove this. Very weird. Right. No, no idea what is this. Okay, is some error. Never mind. Okay, so basically you can just order it using this function. I don't know what that is. No, okay. Okay, anyways, let's move on. Let's forget this. We'll go back to some web and SUTD. Yep. Alright. So now that you have some data that is up here, and say you have your blog up and running, but you want to make some edits. So you need a function to update your data. So as always, you need another function for that. Let's call it update document. We'll pass in the okay. So we're gonna need our updated data over here. So let's create updated data dictionary, and let's change our content to, I don't know, uh I like Firebase. Yep. So now you have the data that you want to change. So you just have to go in, select your document, put in the changes. So as we know, we first choose our collection. So that's uh, collection equals and we choose our document. So this will be our collection dot document, which will be our document name. Okay, and we will use the function dot update and pass in our updated data. So in the doc, you want to put in your document ID, so which would be blog 1 in this case, or the auto-generated one from Firebase. So as I said earlier, it's a lot easier if you choose your own ID. It's a lot easier to run the update and delete functions later. So say I want to update my blog underscore 1 with my updated data. So right now the content is DC workshop do. Then once I run this, it should say I like Firebase, provided you don't run into any more errors. Oh, okay, it ran. Okay, so yep, the content changed to I like Firebase. So that is one type of update. So another type of update you can do is add add a certain field. So say later down the line, I want to add another field, say popularity index. Say it's an arbitrary number 512. So if I run this again, there won't be any change here, of course, but we will see a new field over here with this data. So let's run. Once it's done, here we go. Popularity index 512. Yeah, there you go. That's how you update certain records. Yeah, so this is all a part of CRUD. So let's create, retrieve, update, and delete. So the only thing that we are remaining is deleting our data. So as usual, there's two types of deletion. You can either delete the whole document, is like doing this, or you can delete certain fields, which is essentially the same as doing that. So yeah, so as it goes, we need another function for that. Using function illustrate to so delete document. Delete field. Yeah. So let's do this one first. Because it should be a lot easier. Yep. So yeah, as it goes again, we're gonna need to choose your collection and choose your document. But you don't want to update it this time. All you want to do is delete. So you just do contrast await doc, choose your document ID and delete. And yeah, that should be good. I just don't want to delete the query. So delete step. And another thing you can do it here as well. In your update document, you can, since you're storing the data in this res, you can always do console.log res.id and res.data. Can always do this. Can run this. You can use this console.log to see what has been deleted, basically. So yeah, hopefully this works. So delete document passing DB from before, and once we run this, just delete function. Okay, let's just forget about this. Okay, so yeah, you can see there is no more document ID LHYSS. Yep, so it is gone, deleted from your rights. Yeah, so since we've deleted this already, say that the popularity index feature that I wanted was not as I planned. So I just want to remove all the instances on my database. So you want to delete a certain field, so we can use this function right here. So for this, you're going to need a Firebase feature sort of called field value. So once field value, it's called, we can use this admin.filestore.field value. Then you can choose your collection, choose your document. Let's stick with log one for now. And instead of delete, you're gonna use the update function that we used up here. So we're gonna update, and we're gonna put in the field that we want to delete. So it's popularity index, and we want to set it to field value dot delete. So what this basically does is you want to delete a field. So what it's saying is I have this field and I want to delete it. This is basically what this means. So yeah, if I run this, it should delete our popularity index. And yep, it's gone now. So yeah, so this is basically your Firestore basics. So we covered create, two ways of creating it, updating, deleting, and retrieving our data, of course. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the Firestore. You can see one thing we keep on doing a lot, which is this const collection. So if you want, you can declare this up here, then you don't have to do it repeated in every function. That goes without saying. Alright, so if you have any questions, you can put it in chat. Otherwise, let's take a 5 minute break.
Stuck in the dark, they only show me what they want me to see, yeah, yeah. Back's against the wall, the anger slowly builds in me, yeah. It builds to a point where it starts to suffocate me. And just like a match, all I need is a little spark to set me on. I can be louder, louder than you want me to be, yeah. This could be louder, louder than you want it to be, yeah. Most of the time, I'm the quiet guy. Calm and reserved, but I stand for what I deserve, yeah. And I'm just a man who has limits when dealing with you. You were the spark that ignited all the flames inside me. Set me on. I can be louder, louder than you want me to be, yeah. This could be louder, louder than you want it to be, yeah. You're the curse, you're the worst, you're in my head. I'm the bad shit in me, I know you can. But now you're complaining, I went too far. You're the one that set me off. I can be louder, louder than you want me to be, yeah. This could be louder, louder than you want it to be, yeah.
Hyperforms on the beat. Cosmic, cosmic, cosmic.
Okay, hello guys. Okay, so now when we're done with Firestore, so we're gonna do Firebase hosting next. Think Firebase hosting is pretty short since our site is quite normal. Yeah. So what you wanna do is if you were there for the intro to JS workshops, you can use the files that you already have. But if you are not there, you can go to the this Git repository and you can get the files. You can use git clone or you can just place it here. The files you will need is index underscore done.html and assets, the whole folder. Yeah. So yeah. Um, once you have cut the files that you need, um, you can create a subfolder. Actually, you don't need to, but I'm going to reuse this folder since I already have it. You can just create a folder inside this and put your index.html over here, index.html here, in the assets folder right above it. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rename this public, and I'm gonna rename index underscore done to index.html. And by default, the assets.folder has capital A. You might need to um, rename it to something to make it all lowercase. Yeah. So at this point, you should be ready to deploy. So you can just double click the site, see if it's working all properly, and it looks fine. Looks fine to me. Right. Since it's working, what you want to do is go to your terminal. I'm going to clear this off. To do a deployment, what you need is Firebase tools, which is different from the Firebase admin that we use so far. So what you want to do is run this command. So npm i-g Firebase tools. -g is basically saying install it globally. So you can use Firebase tools from anywhere, basically anywhere on your PC. Yeah, so you just this command and, it take a long time. So it's a big package. Moves. Okay, nice. Yeah. So once you have it installed, you might wanna run Firebase login. So this will open a this will I'm already logged in. So if you're not logged in, it's gonna open a browser where you just sign in with the same Google account you used to create this project. So once you have logged in and 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 you have your public folder all set up properly, you go to the root directory, which is the one containing the public folder, and run Firebase init. So this will initialize a Firebase project in this directory. So you click on yes. Uh, then for now we're gonna enable hosting and click on enter. Use an existing project and use the 3DC Firebase one. What do you want? You want to use as your public directory, which is the public folder that we created. In case you change the name, you can just put in the name since it's already public. You can just create enter. Is this a single page app? Yep, it is for us. So yes. And do you want to overwrite? Just put in no. Right. So Firebase is up and running. So before deploying, you might wanna get a preview if everything is running properly or not. So you can just type in Firebase serve. So what this will do is it'll create a server with the files in your public folder, and it will essentially emulate what the real server does. So you can just copy this in this video, and yeah, that is your website. Okay. Yeah. So once you see it, so at this point, basically, we're testing if everything is working. If you have any errors, you debug them, and if there's no errors, you can go close down the server and deploy it to production. Which is you can do that by running Firebase deploy. So once you do that, you'll see a lot of stuff happening. You upload your new files. There you go. Deploy complete, and now you can just go to the hosting URL. It should be the same site we just saw. There we go. It's the exact same site. After a few moments, there you go. This change. So yeah, that's hosting for you. So the reason you want to do hosting is so that you don't like share these files. So say you made a website, you want to share with your friends. So instead of sending them the files, you can just do this quick Firebase deploy and just send them to URL. Yeah. Good thing about Firebase hosting is you get free SSL, so HTTPS support, and connecting domains is very easy. So yeah, that is Firebase and Firestore and Firebase hosting. If you guys have any questions, you can put it in chat or the pigeonhole link. Things down on Git repository. And otherwise, I think we're done. So I know haven't really gone over this, but what you can do is try integrating what we have covered here, especially the Firestore stuff, into your um, your index.html. So you can just create a script tag and just copy paste it in certain sense. And yeah, try retrieving and displaying the data on an actual web page. Yeah. So I think that's it. Yeah.